Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Now I've gotten a lot of requests about this TPI tool of ours that we are developing and that will soon be publicly available. I know I keep saying that, but it actually is very close to being released. So we're getting a lot of requests on how am I using it, and I've gotten some requests on some specific stocks. And of course these stocks tends to be a bit more in the hype stocks, meme stocks, some of the stocks that are in the ARK Invest and so on. So I've taken the liberty to pick 3 of these. I've gotten many requests, but I've picked 3 of these where we can see how I am using the TPI indicator. I should say, just to make sure, that I'm actually not invested in any of these 3, but that doesn't mean that we can't scroll back on the timeline and see how would we have traded this, because that is the good thing with having a very structured approach with some very specific rules. That is that you can scroll back 1 year or 10 year or however long you have data for, and then you can see how would it have performed. So first of all, I have the Palantir here. And as you know, we have the summary. You can read all about the stocks here when at some point you can enter here. But today I'm only looking at the technicals just to show you how some of these very volatile stocks have actually, how we have been able to get some very good entries here. Now we have 3 different time scales here. We have the long-term trend, we have the weekly TPI and the daily TPI. And for those of you that are new to the channel, TPI is just short for turning point indicator. And that is a statistical tool where we are grabbing into a lot of databases about length of different waves. And then we are making it specific for each and every stock. So it's a bit of a complex thing. I won't go into detail with it. But let's just have a quick look at it. First of all, before I am entering into a swing trade myself, and that, of course, you can have completely different rules for yourself. But for me, I want a good long-term uptrend. So I do not enter a swing trade unless this lower bar here is green. All right. Then the TPI here is basically, if I just find my drawing tool, I know I've drawn this before. But if this is a dark green, this means that the stock is moving up, or not that it is moving up, but that it should be moving up from a statistical point of view. When it gets into the light green, we are up in a, you should consider, think of something like some sort of an oscillator, where we are entering into an accumulation phase. That is the light green here. This white one is actually just signaling that it's still light green. That is still going. That is soon going to be changed. When we are entering the dark red, that is a selling phase, and when we are entering into the light red here, that is an accumulation oversold, as we call it. So that is basically just a way of trying to measure and anticipate the waves that we see in the market from a statistical point of view. So what I'm looking for, as I said, I am looking for all dark green here, and then I have 2 different approaches. First, I can go for a light red here, meaning that if we have a dark, let's say here, we have a dark green here, then we go into a light red. That means that from this day on, I can be looking for some entry signal here that could, for instance, be a good long green candle like this, where I would say either entering at the end of this day or entering at the beginning of the next day. So that would be up here around in the 16 area. But basically, and I know I have taken the Palantir as an example before, but a long good uptrend here. Now I could, for instance, enter here, because that is my second approach to the market. That is when we have a green in the long term, a green in the weekly, and then turning green in the daily. That is a potential signal here. However, I do like it to be out of a range. So this is inside a range. I would probably not take this, but even if I would take it around the 820 or something like this, I would probably exit it somewhere up here when I started to get several red signals, or I would exit it here So I might take a little loss on this around the 810 because now it is in a downtrend on the TPI weekly. So I might take a little loss on this. This is not a magical indicator. It's basically just statistics. So going on here, we get a new green signal here, and then we can enter here. I mentioned that in the video, or I would probably enter at the beginning of next day at the open here around 10.5. I would trail it here, and when we get to a dark red, I would be looking for a red day to exit on. We're not getting a red day here, so we are not straight away, not a big red selling day. So when we get into this area, we actually get to a accumulation oversold again. It might be that we have exited this day here around the 15-ish, making a good profit. But then again, we could enter again here. So there are a few places in the graph where you can make a subjective decision, and it's always a bit hard to look at it in a rear view mirror and knowing exactly what you would have done. But had you exited here, you could enter again here because we are in this in this light red zone and we get a good green day. We could have entered at least here at 16.5. And just kept it until now. I'm not sure what it's doing today, but we can have a look. It's falling a bit back, but this is basically what we are trading here. This is in TradingView. To those of you that don't know TradingView, you can just enter to tradingview.com. They have a free version that is fantastic. They have some paid versions that are quite cheap as well, but that is what I'm using for my graphs. The next one I want to have a look at is Roku. Also one that have been mentioned by many of you. Let's just have a quick look at Roku here. All right. When we look at Roku, and we can just scroll a bit further back here, we can see that all the downturn in the stock basically, let's go really far back here. It was up at around 380 something. And we are in a red long-term trend here, so there have been absolutely no time whatsoever the last couple of years where we were allowed to enter from my entry rules. However, when we start to move a bit closer here, there is something like here where we get all green on long term, on the weekly and on the short term. I might have entered here taking a small loss on this one. Definitely that can happen, but otherwise it's just flickering back and forth here. We are not really getting much here. We are trading in a range. I would never take a swing trade in that, but it starts to give us some interesting signals here, because now we get a clear break out of a range here. We are in a good long-term uptrend. We go into an area here with an oversold accumulation phase, and we could have entered this day or at some point this day. So we could have gotten in around the 60 something, and then we wouldn't have had an exit signal yet. So we would have made, well, basically 30, 40, 50% here very, very quickly. So that is the power of it. We can make small losses once in a while, but when we time it so we get the long-term uptrend, that we don't trade inside a range here, and that we're waiting for a breakout, a retracement, our TPI to tell us when to enter, and then just following the trend, then that is quite a profitable strategy. The last stock I will show you here today, I've got a couple of requests on that as well. That is also one of the stocks that were very much hyped a few years back. Let's just have a quick look here. When we go far back here, we can see that we might have been in some sort of swing trade here, being able to exit, but otherwise it is in a very red long-term downtrend all the way up from the 50s, 60s here, and then it went down to a low point around 10. So we actually was kept out of a losing trade of minus 80% here. And then when we look a bit closer to it here, there might be, we don't get a buy signal here. We actually might get a buy signal here where we are taking a loss on it on maybe 5 or 8% here. And then when we get closer to the current market here, we can see that we are in a long-term uptrend. We get the light red, the accumulation signal here, so we can enter somewhere here where we get the red, sorry, the green day, saying that the buyers are coming in, and then we get a red signal here, so we might just exit it up here. Again, we are getting the light red here, so we are allowed to enter here, and that was around the 23 24 area, and now it has shot up here. This one is showing that by yesterday, if the week ends here, we are going into a higher probability of a downtrend in the stock. However, we are not seeing a clear red day. We can have a look at it over here at Draftkings and see what it does today. I suppose it drops a bit with the market. Yeah, but it's not a clear red day. It does gap down. Sellers are coming in, but then buyers are coming in. If I were in this stock and I had a very good profit here of maybe 20 or 30%, and we were getting close to earnings, I would probably look to get out of my shorter term swing trades, simply because I don't like the volatility. Sometimes you get a minus 30%, sometimes a plus 50%. I just like to protect my profits when they are good, and I never enter a swing trade up in the week or 2 weeks before earnings. I do like the stock to get a bit of room to move upwards before the earnings. So that is basically it. As you can see, looking for the long-term green trend here. One entry signal could be when all of the three turns green, something like here. Or I could wait for a light red accumulation oversold period here, entering on a green day and then keeping it until it turns red here on the weekly TPI. I hope this helped you, and you can return to this video and watch it again when the platform, My Stock Scanner, is released to the public. There shouldn't be many weeks until it is possible, and there will be a link below this video where you can sign up so you get an email with a notification when the platform is up and running. It will be free for the beginning, and then after a while some of the features will be put into a subscription area, but in the beginning everything will be free. That's all for now. As always, take care of yourself and your money out there, and I'll speak to you again very shortly. Bye.